All right, welcome everybody. I'm Natalie, and along with Sarah, we are going to be talking about the pros and cons of dairy. But first, the purpose of our little 10-minute calls, we're trying to keep them to 10 minutes, is really to support and nourish women to keep life simple. So we really know that today there's such a barrage of information coming at us through different platforms. You know, we're raising kids, we have marriages, we're cooking. There's so much pressure in a sense, or self-imposed pressure. So we just want to cut through, pick some great topics and cut through all the BS and just make it simple and informative for you. So I really do hope you find value today, especially with the dairy focus. So Sarah, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right, I'm Sarah DeCiccio. I'm a certified holistic health coach. I'm a mom of 2 young kids, and my thing that I'm passionate about the most is gut health. So if you'd like to learn more about me, you can check me out on my website at www.findingyourwellspot.com.
And I'm the creator of Beautiful Life Destination Retreats, and I'm also a lifestyle coach with a background as a certified personal trainer. And I'm really, really passionate about up-leveling your inner game or your self-talk. And I also happen to have raised 3 amazing young adults, which qualifies me as a mom. And you can check me out at my name, nataliestratton.com. All right, let's get started. So, pros and cons of dairy. Sarah, let's talk about the pros.
Okay, the pros of dairy. I think if you actually consume raw, unpasteurized dairy, there's lots of benefits to it. A lot of people do well with it, especially if you're lactose intolerant. It's different than an allergy and a sensitivity. If you're lactose intolerant, which means you're not producing enough of the enzyme to digest the dairy, usually if you can go to a raw or unpasteurized dairy, you will be able to digest that dairy a lot better, because most of us actually don't produce enough lactase, which is the enzyme needed to digest dairy. So if you're just not producing enough of the enzyme, so which means you're lactose intolerant, most people who switch to a raw unpasteurized dairy do really well. And I know the concern with raw unpasteurized dairy, people think that they're going to get sick or get a bacteria from it. Studies have shown that you have a better chance of getting sick from even produce, more chances of that than even the dairy. So a lot of people, if you go to a health food store, you're going to see more people being able to actually purchase raw dairy. And for those clients that I've worked with or people that I've seen, they've said that switching from being lactose intolerant to raw dairy, that they've actually really benefited from it. If you're a B, if you follow the blood type diet, so if you're type B blood, you have the genetics to digest dairy a lot better than any other blood type. So a lot of people who do follow the blood type diet or are type Bs do a lot better on dairy than say A's, which I'm a type A. So A, they don't do as well with dairy. So there's some
good to know. Wow, you just always blow me away. It's like, didn't know that. Yeah, okay, let's go to the cons. So yeah,
maybe
I know.
One more thing to just make it really clear for people from pasteurized to unpasteurized. So when we're pasteurizing our dairy, their dairy has proteins. So when you pasteurize it, what happens is that the dairy in its raw form, the proteins are 3-dimensional. When we pasteurize it, it flattens those proteins. So when we consume it, our body has no idea what to do with it because it doesn't understand or doesn't recognize the flattened proteins as opposed to the 3-dimensional. So that's why some people do a lot better with the raw dairy as opposed to the pasteurized dairy, just so you have like a picture in your mind is like what really is the difference. It's the proteins. So the proteins and all that need to be digested. Our body won't recognize the proteins when they're pasteurized.
Got it. Okay, perfect. So let's go on to some of the cons.
The cons, so if you have asthma, I know a lot of people who have asthma, like dairy is really mucus forming. So if you're already having problems with asthma or your lungs, it's best to either decrease your dairy amount or even get off of it for a bit to see if your asthma improves. I know even with my daughter, she had chronic ear infections from the moment she popped out of me, I swear. We got tubes in her ears. She was still getting chronic ear infections. They couldn't explain why, like the specialists didn't know why. I was taking my training then for food, and I just took her off dairy. She had no problems, no more ear infections. I put her back on dairy. We were in the emergency, 2 different antibiotics. She was up for 3 nights straight. She couldn't even lay down. That's how bad her ears were. and then we took her off dairy again, no problems. She never had another ear infection. Now, the odd time she will get, maybe a little earache, but not a full-blown ear infection like she used to, where we were constantly on antibiotics, which of course antibiotics is not great anyway for the body, wrecks our microbiome. And of course there is places to use antibiotics when we need them, but getting her off the dairy, and then now we've had her tested, she is very sensitive to dairy, so just having her off of dairy, no more ear problems, which I know a lot of people have problems with children getting chronic ear infections. My husband being one of them. Like, my mother-in-law said that they know every hospital in Alberta because he had chronic ear infections all the time, and he's extremely sensitive to dairy as well. And now he doesn't have problems with his ears or his sinuses or his allergies as much because he's not consuming the dairy, which again, super mucus forming.
Right.
So that's one thing. Autoimmune conditions, like I've been taking a lot of classes on autoimmune conditions. So autoimmune conditions, basically your body is getting a miscommunication where it starts attacking your own body. So whether you have thyroid dysfunction, arthritis, lupus, what are some other ones I can't think of right now?
Celiac. I wrote them down. MS, Crohn's, celiac. We were talking also about eczema, psoriasis, things like that.
Yeah, like even a lot of rashes. Some people don't realize, like when they're unexplained rashes, sometimes it is from the food you're eating. I'm not saying it's necessarily dairy, but there could be the food that you're reacting to. Psoriasis is another one that a lot of people suffer from and they don't understand, and that could usually be gluten or dairy as well. So if you have an autoimmune condition, the two main foods they always tell you to get off of is gluten and dairy, and there's a huge explanation for that will be for like another time. But those are definitely the two things that are common with most autoimmune conditions is the gluten and the dairy. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of things with dairy for sure. And I love dairy. I grew up on dairy. It's like chocolate to me. It's my favorite thing in the world. But I used to have permanent acne along my jawline, even when I was older as an adult. I remember people actually thought it was a rash because it never went away. And really, when you are breaking out and you have acne along your jawline, you are having digestive issues. You are not digesting something properly. So therefore, you have to kind of look at what your food is. For me, even today, if I cheat and I decide to eat some dairy, which I still do every once in a while, I will pay for it and I will break out right here. I will always get either one or two all the time if I eat a little bit of dairy.
Wow. So the skin does tell all, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Our body's always giving us signs. Nobody pays attention to them because sometimes they're so subtle. Even if you're getting a minor headache, if you're having a coffee and you're getting a minor headache because you put cream in your coffee, or it could even be from the caffeine, you have to think about that. Like, think about, what did you eat? Is there something that's the same thing that you're constantly getting a headache from? Like, oh, I had a pizza. Maybe it could be the dairy. Maybe it's the gluten. Maybe it's the eggs. I remember eggs gave me a pounding headache. Every time I eat eggs, I could go to sleep and I get a pounding headache. So it's interesting, and I never picked up on that before, ever. And sometimes it's eliminating that food first before you really pick up on the signs. Like, eggs never used to really bother me, I thought, until I eliminated them, just because my husband couldn't eat them, so I just didn't buy them. And then I reintroduced them. Well, oh my goodness, I never felt so sick after eating eggs. And then I tried them again, and I tried them again, and I still had the same reaction. So it's fair to say that eggs are probably not for me.
Yeah. Okay. And so I know that you brought in, because you're a powerful woman, a product that would be great to share a little bit about that. Just some alternatives, right? Like, what are our alternatives now?
Yeah, because dairy is really hard to remove at first because, one, it can be very addicting, especially if you're sensitive to it. Most people, if you're sensitive to a food, you will crave that food. So if you crave bread in the morning, if you crave coffee, if you crave dairy like I did, then usually most of the time your body, it's not good for your body. So with dairy, of course, with milk, I replace a lot with nut milk, so you can make your own. They taste even better. If you want to learn a recipe on how to make almond milk, you can go to my website again. I show you how to do that. So you can drink almond milk, cashew milk, coconut milk, a mixture of coconut, cashew, a mixture of almond and cashew, whatever serves you. I would say that. I'm not a big fan of soy milk just because a lot of the soy is genetically modified. And if it's genetically modified, your body can potentially react to that. So I'm not a huge fan of soy milk unless you can find a non-GMO soy milk, which I've never really looked for. You could do a rice milk too if you wanted, but I usually stick with the nut milks for the most part. That's just what my family and I enjoy the most. There are cheeses out there. There's soy cheeses, which again, I'm not a huge fan of, but there's other cheeses too that are made from coconut oil and potato starch and stuff like that that you can find that are actually not bad, honestly, because I was a huge cheese face and I don't mind them at all. Another one that I know most people really miss is yogurt. And there's tons of yogurts out there. There's like an almond yogurt, a coconut yogurt, and they're cultured. So the ones I used to eat in the past, like they had chicory root, which I am sensitive to chicory root. So I never really ate them that often, and I didn't care too much for the taste. The one yogurt I am loving right now is from the Silk brand, and I know a lot of people are looking at it, wondering where to get it. This is a coconut cultured yogurt from the Silk brand. You can get vanilla, unsweetened vanilla. I always buy unsweetened because I always like to add my own sweetener, if anything, so I have control of that. Or you can have the plain vanilla. So if you have recipes for muffins that you want to make for your kids that are healthier, that ask for yogurt, if you want to have breakfast and you want yogurt and berries, if you want to add even like a protein powder or a protein booster and have that, if you want to make your overnight oats and add your yogurt, you know, you won't feel so deprived if you're making smoothies and want yogurt. Well, finally we have like a really good tasting yogurt. And if I could just touch quickly on the ingredients, a lot may have carrageenan in it. Carrageenan is a food additive that comes from red seaweed. And basically it's used to emulsify and thicken like dairy products, processed foods, nut milks. It's found in a lot of, not in the Silk brand though, and yogurts and stuff too, dairy-free or dairy yogurts. So this one is also carrageenan-free. So the reason why you don't want to consume carrageenan is because it can cause inflammation in the body as well as some stomach upset, like some stomach issues, which a lot of people already are suffering with. So why make the problem worse? So if you live in a city like Natalie does, she's super lucky because she has access to all this wonderful food and health food stores, and you can find things like this really easily. If you live in a really small town like I do, I just talked to the manager of our grocery store. We have one grocery store, and he's amazing. He's so amazing to me and my family. He's brought in so many health products. So thank you, Brandon. I asked him to bring in even this yogurt for us, and he did. Like, he brought it in within 4 days. I'm not even kidding you. And he even put it on sale for us. So the new people who are wondering what it tastes like, you're going to get a great deal right off the bat to see if you like it. And honestly, I think it tastes very, very similar to Greek yogurt. There's actually no real difference to me, the coconut cultured yogurt to regular dairy yogurt. So I highly suggest you try it if you're trying to cut down on your dairy, or if you're trying to eliminate it altogether to see if you can help with some of your health issues that you may be struggling with.
Awesome, Sarah. Oh my gosh, you're inspiring me, because I'm actually in the process of, I've not bought cheese for about a month and a half. I get really plugged up. I'm always like blowing, popping. I do have one latte. I put cream in it and milk. So I'm looking at some alternatives. I've tried not dairy, like with almond milk in my latte. I don't know. I'm a bit of a coffee snob, and I just have a real will to keep dairy close to me. So keep talking to me, because I will get there. But I know that dairy, definitely do your research if this resonates for you, or reach out to Sarah. Like, you can't go wrong. She's really knowledgeable. She's listening to summits all the time. She's got a great education, and she's always looking for answers for her clients. I know that to be true. So she's an invaluable resource. So thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing this, and thanks everybody. Please leave your comments below. Let us know how we're doing as two women talking. Hopefully we're helping you, and let us know what you want to know. I mean, I'm happy to help with overwhelm and the inner game and some of the belief patterns that you have. And I know Sarah's all about food. Let food be thy medicine. So let's keep having conversations. So looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks again, Sarah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.